Hi, it's Dia. Today I'm going to review 9 different liner pens. Now I drew all of these little berries with a Copic multi-liner waterproof marker, and I wrote this information underneath about each pen in this Statler Tri Plus fine liner. Now I started to color this one a little bit or make some lines here, and you can see that this one smeared. Now, in all fairness, I did it relatively quickly, but that was with this Statler Tri Plus liner. And I'm doing this because a lot of people like to add embellishments to coloring images. They like to add some pointillism. So I wanted to review these different pens to see what each one had to offer and if any one stood out or had any special features compared to the rest of them. So as you can see, this Statler Tri Plus liner, I would say it's a relatively nice pen. The tip is, I would say it's like a medium point, like a 0.2. These were all done in 0.1, so you can see the outlines are thinner. It appears to be darker. I'm not quite sure it actually is, or it's just that the point was thicker. Okay, so that's the Statler. Now the second one, I'm going to also use a Statler, but this is a pigment liner, different pen. This is supposed to be waterproof and indelible, and this is a 0.1. This is finer, and I would say the point is more solid. It's a little more stiff. You can get more fine details. And of course you can get more fine details just because the point is thinner or smaller. I have to say I like this pen. It's dark enough. And you can get some nice details out of it. Oh, let me make this fair. Put that over there. Statler. Okay, now this is a zebra brush pen. You can see the tip's a little bit different. Now this one is nice because you can get very, very fine lines. You can see the tip is super fine. But if you want to, for the sake of this demo, you can push harder. And make it thicker and finer depending on how hard you push. The brush is flexible and it will go back to its point. If you tried to do that with the Statlers, they would not hold up. They would probably crush, and that would probably be the end of the pen. So there you go, a little more stylized. I really like this. You don't have to really worry about it too much because, like I said, it's going to spring back, and it gives you a little bit of control because the brush, being a fine brush, is it allows you to do details, but you don't have to be perfect at it. It isn't like a paintbrush. Okay, so that's the zebra. Now here's another pen brush. This is by PenTell. You can see the tip is longer, and the other thing about this tip is that it's much softer, so it's more like a calligraphy pen. You can get much thicker lines. You can also get very fine lines, but you have to be very careful. Probably for somebody who had a little bit more practice. Now drawing dots isn't as easy because if you look very, very closely, the dots are more like little teeny weeny lines. Okay, there's the PenTell. Also, okay, so for this, Gives a nice dark color, but a little bit harder to use. Let me see if I'm still in line here. Okay, now this is a Pigma Micron pen. Regular tip. This one is a little thicker. It's 05. So you'll be able to get thicker lines, but you can't have a variety in the thickness of the lines. Good for making dots, good for pointillism. It's got a nice feel to it. It doesn't catch the paper at all. Okay, Pigma Micron 05. Now here's a good old Sharpie. Sorry, my screen just went blank. There we go. Here's a Sharpie. This is a fine point, also permanent marker. I have to say, on this paper, it writes very smooth. Now the only drawback, or a drawback of a Sharpie, is that it's really got an alcohol smell to it. So you have to be careful and possibly even use it in an open area. If I was going to have to judge, I would probably say that is a little bit thicker than the Pigma, the Micron. And also with the Sharpies, the ink tends to spread a little bit, so you have to be careful. Although in a pinch, I really like it. Now, this is a Copic multi-liner. Copic's this is 8.3. Copics have a reputation for being expensive and very good quality. This one is a little bit less expensive in the Copic line. It's a disposable pen. I like it. It's smooth, makes nice dots. It's dark. And if I was going to compare it to any of them, I would probably compare it to the Staedtler Pigment Liner. Now, here's what I illustrated all these pictures with to begin with. This is the Copic Multi-Liner SP. Now this one's a little bit different because it has permanent housing, but you can, let me see if I can get this so you can see it, you can remove and change the tips, the ink. So this very nice pen can last you a very long time. It's not cheap, but once again, it'll last you forever. Oh my, I'm exaggerating a little bit, but I've had this one for at least a few years. It's my favorite pen. I also have them in different tips, thicker, thinner. I have one that's 0.03. It's so fine. It's for super detail work. I love that one too. You get the idea. And then the very last one I'm going to use is a regular Zebra ballpoint pen. I could have chosen any ballpoint pen, but I just wanted to, for the sake of the video, well, okay, right off the bat, I started to draw and I made a couple lines and they didn't show up. It's skipping a little bit, and that could be just the quality of the pen. Now the other thing is I have to push harder on this paper to get the lines to show up, so you don't want to damage the paper. And that's why it's nice to use some of the liners for detail, because you're not going to push hard and then change the fabric of the paper. It does look nice. I do like the way drawings look with ballpoint pen. Now you have to watch when you color. If you push too hard and then you go over it, it leaves a divot in the paper and then you can't color over it. You kind of can color around it. So that's a problem. So I'm not going to really rate these as my favorites or not my favorites, but I just wanted to show you the differences of how the different pens look. I will list all the pens that I drew with underneath, and I hope this helped a little bit. It wasn't exactly apples to apples, meaning the tips were different sizes, but I used what I had, and I hope this was helpful to you or to anybody who wants to add a little bit of fanciness and whimsy to coloring pages that already exist. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you follow me on Facebook and Instagram, and I will see you soon. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.